look closely at your hands right now and think about the last 24 hours of your life, remembering every choice, every pause, and every single second that ticked away while you convinced yourself you were moving forward. We often look for the grand tragedies, the massive failures, or the monumental mistakes when trying to figure out why our lives don't look the way we envisioned them in our quietest moments of ambition. But the truth is far more sinister, because your destiny isn't being stolen by a massive explosion or a sudden catastrophe that you can see coming from miles away. It is being slowly, systematically bled dry by a ghost in your routine, an invisible thief that you invite into your mind every morning and tuck into bed every single night. You have normalized a pattern so deeply embedded in your daily existence that you no longer recognize it as an enemy, but rather as a comfortable friend who whispers that tomorrow is a better day to fight. Consider what happens when a single drop of water falls onto a solid stone surface day after day, year after year. It doesn't shatter the rock on impact, nor does it make a sound loud enough to wake a sleeping child. Yet over time, that soft, unassuming water carves a permanent canyon through the hardest substance known to man. That is exactly what this silent daily ritual is doing to your passion, your drive, and your ultimate potential. It operates completely beneath the radar of your conscious awareness, masquerading as normal behavior, survival, or simple rest, because it doesn't cause immediate pain or leave a visible scar. You assume everything is perfectly fine while your ultimate vision for your life slowly dissolves into mediocrity. Every single one of us operates on a set of deeply ingrained programs, a series of mental defaults that dictate how we react before we even have a chance to think. When you allow this specific, unspoken mechanism to run your morning, your afternoon, and your evening, you are essentially outsourcing your destiny to your lowest impulses. You believe you are making conscious decisions about your career, your finances, and your relationships, but you are actually just reacting to the same old invisible script. It is a psychological loop that convinces you that you are safe when you are actually stagnant, and that you are resting when you are actually retreating from the battlefield of your own growth. When you wake up in the morning, there is a fraction of a second where your spirit is completely pure, where the canvas of the day is entirely blank and waiting for your masterpiece. But before your feet even hit the floor, this hidden mechanism takes over, hijacking your focus and directing your energy toward the trivial, the comfortable, and the safe. It is the immediate reach for distraction, the subtle internal negotiation to do the hard things later, and the unspoken agreement that today is just a day for getting through rather than breaking through. You don't realize that in that tiny, quiet moment of compromise, you have already decided the trajectory of your entire day, electing to play defense instead of offense. We live in a culture that teaches us to blame our environment, our upbringing, our lack of resources, or the current state of the world for why we aren't standing on the mountaintop of our dreams. We point fingers outward because it feels incredibly comforting to believe that our limitations are imposed upon us by forces beyond our control. But if you strip away all the excuses and look into the mirror with absolute, one unfiltered honesty, you will see that the greatest enemy you will ever face is the one looking right back at you. It is the version of you that quietly tolerates the daily leak of energy, the micro compromises that compound over weeks and months until you wake up wondering how you ended up so far from the shores of your true purpose. This invisible architecture of compromise builds a cage around your potential, bar by bar, so quietly that you never even hear the lock click into place. You tell yourself that a small deviation from your goals doesn't matter, that missing one opportunity or sliding into comfort just this once is harmless in the grand scheme of things. But nature and life do not understand the concept of a vacuum. You are either growing or you are dying, climbing or sliding. Every single moment you allow this hidden behavior to govern your actions, you are reinforcing a neural pathway that screams to your subconscious mind that your dreams are completely negotiable, The ultimate deception of this daily sabotage is that it very frequently masquerades as intense productivity and exhausting business. You can spend 12 hours a day running around frantically, answering endless messages, attending meetings, clearing your desk, and collapsing into bed entirely drained, yet remain miles away from real progress. This is because this deceptive habit thrives on keeping you incredibly active in the minor things so that you never have the time, energy, or courage to confront the major things. It keeps you running on a treadmill of triviality, giving you the sensation of movement while ensuring you never actually go anywhere of substance. Think about a rocking horse that is in constant, frantic motion, swaying back and forth with immense energy, yet remains entirely anchored to the exact same spot on the floor. Many people live their entire lives exactly like that rocking horse, mistake taking motion for achievement and exhaustion for impact. This hidden habit loves nothing more than a packed schedule filled with low-level tasks because it allows you to feel a false sense of accomplishment while avoiding the heavy lifting of true transformation. It shields you from the terrifying, exhilarating work of stepping into the unknown and demanding more from your intellect, your creativity, and your spirit. We have become absolute masters of majoring in minor things, dedicating our highest cognitive energy to problems that will not matter in 5 minutes, let alone 5 years. We treat the urgent demands of others as our highest priority while letting our own ultimate purpose sit gathering dust on a shelf. This habit conditions you to seek the quick dopamine hit of checking an easy item off a list rather than enduring the deep, focused discomfort required to build a legacy. It is a sophisticated defense mechanism designed to protect your ego from the possibility of failure, but in doing so, it completely guarantees the absolute certainty of regret. Ask yourself honestly right now, when was the last time you mistook a state of stress for a state of actual achievement? We wear our business like a badge of honor, telling everyone how tired we are as if that somehow proves we are living a meaningful life. But stress is often nothing more than the friction of knowing you are supposed to be doing one big thing while filling your time with 50 small things. This hidden habit feeds on that friction, convincing you that because you are overwhelmed, you must be doing enough, when in reality, you are simply hiding from the true demands of your calling. True progress demands raw, unfiltered clarity and unwavering willingness to distinguish between what is merely urgent and what is truly vital to your soul's expansion. When you allow this daily pattern to blur that line, you lose the ability to steer your own ship, becoming a leaf blown about by the wind of external demands. You find yourself reacting to emergencies created by other people's lack of discipline, completely draining the well of willpower you needed to execute your own vision. You must realize that every time you say yes to something minor out of habit, you are actively saying no to the monumental breakthrough waiting on your horizon. By filling your schedule with these low stakes obligations, you effectively insulate yourself from the risk of judgment and the vulnerability of truly trying. It is an act of psychological cowardice wrapped in the beautiful packaging of professional dedication and responsibility. You tell yourself you are too busy to write the book, start the business, fix the relationship, or master your health, but the truth is you are using business as a shield. Until you strip away that shield and look at how this habit isolates you from your greatness, you will remain trapped in a cycle of endless motion and zero transformation. What this unseen routine truly destroys on a profound level is not just your time, your energy, or your financial potential, but your fundamental self-trust. Every single time you set an intention, make a promise to yourself, or declare a new standard, and then quietly allow this habit to override it, your brain registers a profound failure of leadership. You are essentially teaching your subconscious mind that your own word means absolutely nothing, that your declarations are empty air, and that your commitments are completely optional. Over time, this creates a deep, quiet identity crisis where you completely stop believing in your own capacity to execute Every promise you break to yourself is a vote against your own character, a slow chipping away at the bedrock of your confidence until your self-esteem is entirely hollowed out. You can repeat all the positive affirmations you want, shout motivational slogans in the mirror, and attend every seminar on earth, but your mind knows the truth. It remembers the mornings you hit snooze, the hours you wasted on distractions, and the moments you chose comfort over courage. You cannot lie to your own nervous system. It knows exactly when you have settled for less than what you are truly capable of delivering. Imagine treating a best friend, a business partner, or your own child the way you treat your own private commitments to yourself. If you constantly stood them up, broke your promises, changed your mind the moment things got difficult, and abandoned them when they needed action, they would leave you without a second thought. Yet day after day, you perform this exact ritual of abandonment on your own dreams and expect your spirit to remain enthusiastic and confident. This hidden habit normalizes the betrayal of your own potential, making it a daily occurrence until you no longer even feel the sting of letting yourself down. You cannot build a towering skyscraper of success on a foundation of compromised integrity and broken internal promises. When the storm winds of life inevitably hit, and they will hit, a structure built on self, betrayal will collapse into dust every single time. True confidence is not a state of loud bravado or arrogant posturing. It is the quiet, unshakable awareness that you will do exactly what you said you would do, long after the emotion in which you said it has left the room. This hidden habit ensures that you never develop that unshakable core, leaving you fragile, uncertain, and constantly looking outside yourself for validation. The moment you begin to accept a lower version of yourself as your permanent identity, the game is completely over. You begin to define yourself by your patterns of hesitation rather than your potential for greatness, telling stories about why you are just not a disciplined person. You look at others who are achieving at a massive level and convince yourself they possess some magical trait, some genetic gift that you were denied. But the only difference between them and you is that they have drawn a line in the sand and refused to tolerate the daily erosion of their self-trust. This internal erosion shifts your identity from a creator of circumstances to a passive victim of them, leaving you powerless in your own life. You become someone who hopes things will get better, who waits for conditions to be perfect, and who relies on luck rather than leverage. But hope is not a strategy, and waiting is a trap that will consume the remaining days of your life if you let it. You must reclaim your power by recognizing that every single moment of the day is a choice to either rebuild your self-trust or continue tearing it down. The primary engine that drives this perpetual destruction is the decision you choose not to make, the constant hesitation that paralyzes your ability to take immediate action. We live in a world where we have been conditioned to believe that we need more information, more preparation, more clarity, and more alignment before we can strike. But this need for absolute certainty is nothing more than fear dressed up in a suit and tie, a sophisticated stalling tactic designed by this habit to keep you frozen. The longer you look at a challenge without moving toward it, the larger, more terrifying, and more impossible it becomes in your imagination. Hesitation is the ultimate dream killer because it gives your fear the critical time it needs to build a case against your courage. In the gap between inspiration and action, your brain will construct 1,000 reasons why it won't work, why you aren't ready, and why you should wait until next week. That gap is where your greatness goes to die, smothered by the weight of overthinking and the suffocating comfort of analysis paralysis. If you do not learn to close that gap instantly with massive, decisive movement, you will spend your entire life preparing to live instead of actually living. Think about the moments in your life when you actually won big, when you felt truly alive, powerful, and connected to your ultimate purpose. Those moments were never born out of careful hesitation, timid calculations, or waiting for the perfect green light from the universe. They were born when you lunged into the arena with total commitment, when you made a decision and burned the boats behind you, leaving no option but success. That is the state of mind that this hidden habit desperately tries to prevent, because it knows that once you enter that state, you become completely unstoppable. Every single time you delay a critical choice, you are paying an invisible tax on your focus, your clarity, and your emotional well-being. Unmade decisions act like open windows on a computer, draining the processing power of your mind until your entire system slows to a painful crawl. You carry the weight of what you should have done yesterday into today, ensuring that you lack the energy to seize the opportunities of tomorrow. This mental clutter creates a persistent fog of anxiety that smothers your passion and leaves you feeling permanently exhausted without ever having run the race. The cost of inaction is always, without exception, infinitely higher than the cost of making a mistake in action. A mistake can be corrected, redirected, and utilized as valuable feedback to make you sharper, wiser, and more resilient for the next battle. But inaction gives you absolutely nothing to work with. It leaves you rotting in the exact same place, starving for growth while time ruthlessly marches on. You must realize that failing to decide is, in itself, a massive decision. It is the choice to remain exactly as you are right now for the rest of your days. When you allow things to linger endlessly in the tragic realm of someday, you are actively conditioning your mind to accept a life of unfulfilled desires. Someday is a disease that will wipe out your bank account, destroy your health, and leave your relationships cold and vacant. It is the ultimate lie told by the hidden habit to keep you compliant while it robs you of the only currency that matters, the present moment. You must break this spell by realizing that there is no future version of you that will magically possess more courage than the version standing here right now. To shatter this cycle once and for all and reclaim the absolute authority over your destiny, you must completely revolutionize your internal standard. You must raise the baseline of what you are willing to accept from yourself in the dark, when no one is watching, when there is no applause, and when there is no external reward. Your life will never rise to the level of your grandest goals. It will always sink to the exact level of your lowest tolerable standards. If you tolerate distraction, if you tolerate hesitation, and if you tolerate micro compromises, then that is exactly what your life will reflect. Change does not happen in the future. It does not require a new year, a new month, or a perfect alignment of the stars in the night sky. Real, lasting transformation happens in a single heartbeat, the exact millisecond you look at your old patterns and say, with every fiber of your being, no more. It is the moment you decide that you would rather die trying than live another single day in the suffocating comfort of your own excuses. That shift requires no preparation, no permission, and no validation from anyone else on this earth. It requires only your total, uncompromised commitment. Look at the individuals who operate at the absolute peak of human performance in any field, whether it is business, athletics, artistry, or philanthropy. They are not superhuman beings who possess zero fear, zero doubt, or an endless supply of pristine motivation every single day. The only difference is that they have established a non-negotiable ritual of immediate execution that completely bypasses the habit of hesitation. They have trained their bodies and minds to move the very instant the demand arises, transforming discipline from an exhausting chore into an automated reflex. This means you must cultivate an absolute, ruthless intolerance for the minor hesitations that attempt to creep into your daily routine. When the alarm sounds, you do not negotiate. When the difficult phone call needs to be made, you dial the numbers immediately. When the work needs to be done, you dive in without hesitation. You must create an internal state of urgency that treats your time as the rarest, most precious commodity in existence, because it is. You must fall in love with the discomfort of execution, understanding that it is the precise fire in which your future self is being forged. Your life is a direct, unfiltered reflection of what you are willing to tolerate, and up until this moment, You have tolerated the enemy within your gates. You have allowed a subtle, quiet pattern of daily compromise to dictate the boundaries of your freedom, your wealth, and your joy. But the past does not equal the future unless you choose to live there. And today, you have the ultimate power to rewrite the script entirely. You can decide right now to become the absolute commander of your focus, the master of your emotional state, and the relentless executor of your highest vision. Stand up right now within your own spirit, look this hidden habit dead in the eye, and claim the absolute ownership of this very second. Do not wait until tomorrow morning to start your new life. Do not wait until you feel completely ready, because that feeling of perfect readiness is an absolute illusion. Take massive, decisive, immediate action on the very thing you have been avoiding, and watch how quickly the walls of your cage crumble into dust. You are not a victim of your habits. You are the creator of your destiny, and it is time to live like it